Welcome to Saturday Night Live, Daniel Junge and Zaheer Khan from Islamic Help. Good to meet you guys.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
You look like you're really happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy in general these days. How can I not be? I mean, I have one of the world's most coveted gold statues back in my home now.
You do. Why did you not bring it with you?
You know, it's first of all, it's hard to travel with. They don't give you a carrying case with the thing. It's sort of, you know, it has to go through security. So you see the bags moving through, and then you see an Oscar moving through the X-ray. It's a little unnerving. So it's at home in my shoe closet right now.
For those people who have tuned in and are probably wondering what you're talking about, you're actually the co-producer and co-director of the Oscar-winning documentary called Saving Face. So with this Oscar, have you found it's giving you a bit of kudos now?
Yeah, actually, the day after we won, I didn't. I had to check out of my hotel room, so I carried it with me, and so I literally had meetings in LA where it sat on the table, and you'd be surprising what this one piece of hardware does to people. I mean, people want to come up, they want to touch it, they want to take pictures of you, they want to buy you lunch. This award changes things, and on a serious note, because this is a very, very serious film. It gives you the ability as a social justice filmmaker to achieve a platform you'd never have before, and the kind of issues that are dealt with in the film that these gentlemen work in every day, we don't get that kind of attention. But with this award, that's possible.
ये जो जलाया मेरे हस्बैंड ने जलाया, ठीक है? तो मैं सो रही थी तो अम्मी के घर में आया इस तरह, तो उसने मुझे जला दिया. खुद ही वो इंसान ऐसा था कि वो नहीं रखना चाहता मुझे.
मैं उस वक्त 13 साल की थी जब मेरे साथ अटैक हुआ है. उससे पहले जो मेरे स्कूल टीचर और उसके फ्रेंड ने मेरा रास्ता रोका है, तो मैंने साथ जाने से इनकार किया, तो इस वजह से उन्होंने मेरे ऊपर तेजाब गिरा दिया.
मैं एक रात सो रही थी, उसने तेजाब फेंका. मेरे चेहरे पर नहीं था लेकिन मेरे कंधे पर था. फिर उसने जब 1 साल बाद फेंका, वो मेरे चेहरे पे गया था. वो रिश्ते की वजह से फेंका था ना.
हम तो मासूम बच्चे थे, इसने हमारा चेहरा क्यों खराब किया था? हमारे क्या कसूर था?
With this film, Saving Face, from what I've seen, it's a great documentary. So congratulations on what I perceive was quite a challenging documentary to make, purely because of the subject matter. It must have been pretty emotive for you guys, both for you and for Sharmeen as well, who obviously was a co-producer and co-director as well. Whose idea was it to tackle this issue for this documentary?
The film was initially my idea. I knew about the phenomena of acid attacks, which is actually a global problem. I knew about it in South Asia, but it is a global problem. I wasn't endeavoring to make a film, but it was the Katie Piper story. You may recall Katie Piper was an aspiring model here in London who was attacked by acid, and that was a big story. When I heard the name of the doctor, Mohammad Jawad, Dr. Mohammad Jawad, I called him out of the blue and said, do you happen to know about the phenomena of acid attacks throughout the world? And at that point he said, I'm from Pakistan, and in fact I'm working with this organization, Islamic Help, a Birmingham-based organization that is sending me back and forth to help rehabilitate these survivors. And of course, as a filmmaker, you hear that and you think, what an amazing story, you know, what an incredible story. And I knew that we would see some heart-wrenching stuff in that film, but hopefully you could see a process of change and redemption as well.
Oh, absolutely.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम. ज़की आपका नाम है? ज़की मेरा नाम जवाद है और आपके जो डॉक्टर हैं तारिक साहब, उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि आपको ज़रा मैं देख लूँ. अच्छा अब ये मुझे बताओ कैसी हो ओके अब आपकी कितनी उम्र है
मेरी 39 होने वाली है
39 क्या हुआ था
ये सर तेजाब गिराया था
किसने
शोहर ने
ओके
Zaheer, this ties in nicely with Islamic Help, because I know that you worked with Katie Piper. She's been an ambassador for you, for yourselves, for your charity, because you've worked on this particular issue in Pakistan for many years, probably not just in Pakistan, but in other areas as well. Yeah. So how did it all come about for you? I mean, this must have been pretty exciting. Now you've got a highly regarded documentary filmmaker wanting to tell this story and shed more light on this issue.
Well, for ourselves, as I said, with every project that you take on, as I said, there's always, you know, key people that you think are the focal point of that particular project. And for this particular project, there was obviously Daniel, but before Daniel came along, there was Dr. Mohammad Jawad, who was obviously the head surgeon for Katie Piper. But our relationship with Dr. Mohammad Jawad dates back to the Pakistan earthquake. And we sent him out. We met him in Pakistan at the time. He worked in a hospital with us at the time. And then he again introduced us to this horrible crime, which is acid violence. We were completely astounded by it all. We were thinking, how can this, you know, go on in you know, first of all, in humanity, but then secondly, in some Muslim countries as well. We were thinking, you know, it's just not right. We need to get involved. We need to empower our people. We need to do something here. And unfortunately, we had very little financial support. We didn't really promote the project to our donors. We just, you know, approached one or two selected donors and said, look, this is a project we want to take on. We want to send a doctor out there and actually start delivering aid and support to some of these victims.
This documentary has done the cause considerable service because now it's highlighted it on a global level. Yeah. How did you pair up with Sharmeen? Because she obviously had a very important role in this, and sadly she couldn't be here on Saturday Night Live.
No, it's a shame she can't be here tonight, but I'll try to speak on her behalf.
We were going to supply you with a wig just to try and fool the people,
and
but I don't think it's going to work.
Urdu is not quite as good as hers.
I've been heard it's not bad.
No, that's not true. You know, it became immediately apparent that I needed a partner on the ground there, a full-time partner. I was working with some very talented Pakistani filmmakers there, but I needed a full-time partner throughout the project because, you know, the kind of intimacy and trust that's necessary for this project, you need to have an indigenous person and preferably a woman. And I think Sharmeen is the country's finest filmmaker. Thankfully, she said yes and came on board. I also think it's, and of course it wasn't a symbolic gesture on my part, but I think it's very important to notice that this film, which has garnered this award, that it's been given to a Muslim woman, and an educated, empowered Muslim woman. And to see, I mean, of course, Pakistan has a history of empowered, powerful, educated women, and I think Sharmeen is in that tradition, and she's a powerful symbol for the world.
How did you get into filmmaking? Because you've had a pretty illustrious career to date. You've won awards. I know that you won the Grand Jury Award at Tribeca for the Wyoming Indian High School documentary, which itself was, you know, very highly acclaimed. You've had other great successes as well. How did you get into it in the first place? What attracted you to documentary filmmaking?
I've been fortunate to be shortlisted for an Academy Award, nominated for an Academy Award, now win an Academy Award, which is I think the best progression. To go the other way might feel a little... It
would do. It'd feel a bit demoted, wouldn't you? A bit deflated after that.
You know, the majority of my films have been what you would call social justice, human rights films. I'm not an activist by trade. I don't consider myself an activist, but I am interested in those stories. Because,
human stories. Yeah,
I'm a storyteller, and those stories, no better can you get a sense of humanity. And whenever you see injustice, it's a great story. This film, say what you will about it, it's horrific, but what a great story of, I mean, the disempowered hopefully getting a voice. Of course, I sleep better at night, but at the end of the day, the real kudos goes to the people who are fighting the good fight every day, like Islamic Help, our other partners, Acid Survivors Foundation of Pakistan, with whom you've worked, and Acid Survivors Trust International, with whom you also work.
Because on watching the documentary, I was pretty appalled by what I was watching. Not the quality of the documentary, that's great, but in terms of where I couldn't believe that you would have individuals who would do what they did, which was to abuse and violate a woman in such a way by, you know, destroying their beauty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any human being is going to be repulsed by this and have, you know, it's abhorrent. But I do think that to a certain degree, as filmmakers, we have to switch that off. In some ways, I think we have to become like the surgeon, like Dr. Mohammad Jawad, and you have to switch those emotions off. Of course, even he cracks. You see him in the film emotionally cracking, and we had our cracks as well. But you kind of have to repress those feelings. And where it really hits you is in the edit room, when you finally realize these images that you've recorded, some of them terribly horrific. That's where it really strikes you. You know, the injustice of these actions. I mean, I think we make a point in the film to say this is not anything to do with Islam. That this problem exists wherever there's a lack of law and order, a lack of social justice, a lack of education and poverty, where there's availability of access to acid, and then finally where there's disempowerment of women. And all of those factors are true in central Pakistan. They're of course true in other places in the world where you're seeing these attacks take place, and even the occasional attack here in the so-called developed world.
How did you feel when you were filming the husbands who were accused of allegedly, I mean, because it's difficult to say for sure, but you know, I think a lot of people say, okay, well, it's probably quite likely that they did do it, but again, we don't know. But how did you feel when you met them?
Sure.
There must have been a point in time that you felt, you know what, guys, turn the cameras off. Where's my bat?
I see. Well, first of all, as you might notice, I'm not Pakistani.
True.
And I'm from a little further west. And and that I'm rather conspicuous there. And it was actually Charmine's decision that the filming in rural areas be done by her. Again,
so you stayed out of that and you just left it to her?
Yeah, for example, the interview where Charmine, where she's got a husband saying, well, 99% of these women do it to themselves. They throw acid on themselves.
If you go to the burn centre, you'll see most of them doing, which is absolute rubbish.
Exactly. And Charmine has, you know, I saw her in the edit room react to that. I know that she had to bite her tongue when she was filming that, because it's disturbing. And the hubris of these men, and I think that's just, again, indicative of a certain mentality where there's a lack of education, there's a disempowerment of women, and where there's no recourse to justice.
आपके साथ ये वाकया कब हुआ?
ये 2 साल हो गए। तो उसी दिन गिरफ्तार हो गए थे। मेरे ससुराल लोग पैसे वाले लोग हैं। उन लोगों ने पैसा लेके ना बरी हो गए थे।
अभी कहाँ हैं?
अभी भी छूट गए हैं।
और आप?
मेरे को आखे ने तू कहीं कुंडा सी ना पई जो आखे ने एक भा लग गई है हिंदे उते देखा दीवान ढाठे। मेरी शक्ल खराब हो गई है, मेरी जिंदगी तबाह हो गई है और किसी को कोई सजा नहीं हुई। कहाँ है इंसाफ?